Good morning, compressed air friends. So we are working on a Zeks dryer this morning. A couple things going on with this guy. All the refrigerant went somewhere, and we haven't figured out where that went yet. Actually had one of my low loss lines blew apart on my refrigerant gauges. So I got a guy running to the refrigeration supply house to get me a new set of lines. That was quite unexpected, but anyhow. So what we're looking at right now is we have a near complete refrigerant loss. According to the controller, I have like 11 pounds of suction pressure right now with the dryer off. So that's one complaint. The other complaint is that the client says he's been seeing green liquid on the floor underneath this thing. So kind of signaling to me we have a glycol leak somewhere. I did find right here on top of the glycol storage tank, you can see that's all wet. I did find this hose clamp was a little bit loose. You can see, I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but you can see that the insulation that was over that is all wet. So I snugged that up, and I'm going to leave this off until we get this dryer running again, and then see if that leak went away. The fortunate and unfortunate thing about glycol is that it dries super quick. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you guys today, this right here, this is my glycol loop vent right here. And I have a glove over it right now. What am I checking for with that glove? That's my question to you guys. So for those of you unfamiliar with how a Zeks dryer works, just like any refrigerated dryer, you have your refrigeration system down here. But the way that these things exchange heat is a little different. And so right here, we have what's called we have the refrigerant to glycol heat exchanger right here. You can see we've got our our line coming in, runs through the heat exchanger. Then this is our suction line that runs down through the accumulator, ends up back to the compressor. And then on the other side of this heat exchanger, you have your glycol inlet and your glycol return. And basically all this does is this just runs glycol past that through the heat exchanger here, and the glycol gets cooled down, ends up back in the return tank here, and then that glycol is pumped through the air to glycol heat exchanger here, and yeah, then like I said, the glycol will end up back in the tank there. And that's how a Zeks dryer works. So it's not a direct air to refrigerant type heat exchange. So the refrigeration system cools the glycol then cools the air and then returns to the tank. That is all done by means of that little glycol pump right down there. And so what can happen on these is you could have a air to glycol heat exchanger leak, or you could have a refrigerant to glycol heat exchanger leak. And this guy right here will tell you either one. So like I said, right now I've got 11 psi suction pressure in my refrigeration system, but the air side of this dryer is still pressurized. And so we seal this glove over here, and if there were a air to glycol heat exchange leak, we should see that with air pushing, with the dryer off and air pushing back into the glycol system. The only place that really has to go is out the glycol vent loop and here. So this glove should be waving at me if we had an air system leak. It could technically push back to the refrigeration system, but highly unlikely. So right now with the air heat exchanger being pressurized with compressed air, and my glove is not waving at me, it's been on here for well over 10 minutes now. I think this guy is good. The other test you could do on these is down here you've got your manual drains. You can see I already opened them. If there was glycol mixed with that condensate, that'd be a nice green color, and it would have a really sweet smell to it. So I feel pretty confident at this point saying that this heat exchanger is okay. Once my guy gets back with my new line set, we will recover the little bit of refrigerant that's left in this system, and then I will pump it full of nitrogen. And seeing as how I've already kind of inspected this refrigeration system here, normally when you have a refrigerant leak, you'll see something that will be greasy, and I don't really see anything all that greasy right now. I mean, I got a little something here, but that might have been from a past leak too, so we'll see. But I am kind of expecting that as soon as I put nitrogen to this refrigeration system, this guy's going to wave at me. I may be wrong. I may find, a refrigeration leak doesn't always have to be oily, or I may find a leak somewhere where I'm not even expecting. But I mean, so far everything seems pretty clean, except for like the low pressure side of this. I already pulled the insulation back because we had some problems with this guy leaking before. This is all pretty clean. The only thing I see that gives me a little bit of concern is this discharge connection right here has a little bit of oil on it. But again, who knows? You never know until you get the nitrogen on it. So that's what we're up against today, friends. As soon as I find that leak, I'll check back in. Peace. Okay, friends. So after much nitrogen testing and soaping, that is the culprit right there. You can see it. I had it circled in Sharpie, but it kind of wore off. But that's our culprit right there. So it is really weird for a leak to develop right here and not up here at the braze joint or something. So I'm a little wary of the integrity of the copper in this here pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbraze here, and I'm going to unbraze here. I'm just going to bend a new piece to put in there. But there we have it, man. There she is right there. Had to get to 300 PSI before she finally started to hiss at me. And I mean, I got this thing all stripped down. I was soaping everything and just couldn't find a darn thing. And I was actually reaching past this line to just kind of rub some soap around and stuff back here. And I went, oh, what the hell is that? And then boom, there it was. So like I said, I'm going to unbraze here, unbraze here. I'm just going to bend the new piece and braze it in, and then we shall retest. So there you have it, friends. Little itty bitty, looks like a nick mark, man. He really doesn't even look like anything. But yeah, there you go. Strange times. Well, friends, here we are. New 90 brazed in. Got my soap suds all over it. Got the nitrogen in. About 335 PSI. We're going to see how she holds. This was first attempt. Got a little crazy with the torch. It happens. Happens to the best of us, obviously, right? There we go. We'll have this guy up and running in no time.